It's been about a year since I bought this Tacoma that's behind me. This is my 2018 Tacoma. For those of you who don't know, this truck was an absolute disaster when I first got it. And I never really told the story about why it was like that in the first place and why I even bought it to begin with. I also want to talk about in this video how much I spent to make it halfway decent again. So I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. So I'll say a little bit about the truck before I get started with the video. It's a 2018 Tacoma, as I said. It's a 6-speed manual. It's got a Magnuson supercharger on it. It's got 118,000 miles on it. A couple dings and dents and scratches. It's on 35s with about 4 inches of lift. And it is re-geared to 529s with ARB air lockers front and rear. In the front, there's some King coilovers with a rough country drop bracket suspension system. This is what was on the truck when I bought it. Really didn't change very much. I just lowered it about 2 inches. Truck used to be on 37s. In the rear, it's got some Old Man Emu leaf packs and King shocks with the reservoirs. Not too much special stuff going on back here. All right, let's dive right into it. So I picked about the hottest day to do this. It's about 95 degrees, but getting a good shot. I think it'll be worth it. The story begins one day that I am perusing Facebook Marketplace, as you do, and wasn't looking to buy really anything. I just have an addiction. And I saw this listing for a Tacoma, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I saw the price was $13,000. I was like, that doesn't seem right. So I click on the listing and I'm reading through it. Supercharged, 6-speed manual. I was like, this thing's awesome. It's got lockers. Okay, the pictures are kind of bad on the listing. So I messaged the guy right away. Like I said, I wasn't even looking to buy anything. And he does not respond to me. So I messaged him about 30 more times. And finally, he's like, here's my phone number. Just give me a call and we'll figure it out. I call him and it just sounds a little weird, a little sketchy. The guy can barely hear. It was just a weird phone call, but I told him, I said, hey, if you have the truck and you have the title, I will come up right now and pick it up. He says, yeah, I got the title. Don't worry about it. It's got a blown engine. I was like, oh, man, okay. It's got a blown engine. I can fix that. That's not a big deal, but it's still worth it for the price of the truck. If it's supercharged and he has a title for 2018, that's a good deal, $13,000. So I get my buddy's F-250, I get a U-Haul trailer, and I cruise up there. It was about an hour and a half north of where I lived at the time. So when I got there, this truck was, when I say it was disgusting, it was the most disgusting vehicle I've ever seen. It was filled with roaches from smoking, any kind of garbage you could think of. Like the bed was just filled up with garbage. The front windshield was smashed in, the back window was just smashed out, missing completely. It had a flat tire that didn't match the rest of them. And all in all, it was just in absolutely terrible shape. But for some reason, I said, yeah, I'll take it. And I negotiated with him and I got him down to $11,000. So it took $2,000 off the price. No, I didn't. The truck was $15,000 and I got it for $13,000. I don't know why I thought I got it for $11,000. But I make this mistake for the rest of the video, so sorry. And I said, this is a great deal. Where's the title? He's like, here you go, right here. Here's your title. It's a registration slip. And in the state of California, you can't register a car with just a registration slip. You need the full title. And so now I'm like, this isn't the title. Where's the title, man? And he couldn't find it. So now I'm starting to go, well, if you don't have the title, I can't buy the truck, obviously. I can't register it in my own name. It's a 2018. I'm paying you money. If I can't register it, what's the use to me? He goes, no, I own it. You know, I own it outright. We can go to the DMV and we can get the paperwork done. So this is at the moment where I start going, you know, maybe something doesn't seem right. The windows are smashed out. He doesn't have the title. How do I know that this guy actually owns the truck? And that's when I saw something that I really didn't like the scene of. I looked over when I was looking at the truck. This was at night in a motel parking lot, mind you. I saw on the VIN tag on the driver's side over there, where you see the VIN number for the vehicle, there was a bunch of quarters stuffed in there, hiding the VIN number. So at that point, I basically said to my buddy, I was like, dude, we got to get out of here. This thing's stolen. I don't want to deal with it. And that's exactly what we did. I said to the guy, sorry, like, I don't feel comfortable. I said to the guy, sorry, I don't feel comfortable with it. And, you know, if you can find the title, let me know, and then we'll go from there. I don't want to talk badly about who they were as a person. They were an awesome person. Well, what I will say is that they destroyed the truck, and they put 115,000 miles on it in under 3 years. I don't know what exactly they were doing with the truck, whether if it was illegal or not. I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't know for sure, and I wouldn't put somebody out like that. But they sure did get their use out of it. So that night, he's texting me, saying stuff. I'm looking up online what we could do. The next day, I drive back out there, rent the U-Haul trailer again, drive that hour and a half, and we went to the DMV together. And he showed his ID. The DMV said, yeah, it's paid off. There's no money owed on it, and it's all yours. We did our transaction. I gave him his $11,000, and I was a happy camper. I got this truck, right? Well, I still had to put it on the U-Haul trailer. So I own the truck now. It's still filled up with trash in the motel parking lot. He took none of the trash out of it. And there's no way to get it onto the U-Haul trailer. The truck does not run. It has a flat tire, and we don't have a winch to pull it up onto the trailer. So what'd we do? Well, we put the trailer down a hill. We put the truck at the top of the hill. Then we had about 5 people that we were able to grab from the motel. Thank you very much to those people. And we had them all push. And that still wasn't enough to get the truck onto the trailer. What I did in addition to that was took a bunch of big ratchet straps and we cranked it on with the ratchet straps. So we get to the point where the 2 tires are going up onto the trailer, and this truck is not going to fit onto the trailer. It's way too wide. So it was on 37s with some super deep dish wheels and 2-inch wheel spacers. So what we did was we took the wheel spacers off, and then we were able to crank the truck up while people are pushing on the end and get it on there. And the thing was so damn heavy, but we made it onto the trailer and we were able to tow it home. On that drive home, my buddy's F-250, which is a gasser, was getting about 3 miles to the gallon. So that was painful. I got it off the trailer later that night. It must have been about 11 o'clock at night, and my neighbors came out and they were like, what the hell did you bring to our street? I parked it on the street. I said, I'm sorry, it's not gonna be out here for long. I'm gonna bring it back into the garage and we'll be good. And they were super cool about it. So I wake up and then there's oil all over the driveway, right? Or there's oil all over the street, and I'm like, I don't even know what's leaking. I just got to get inside of the garage and check it out. And this was right around Thanksgiving Day. So I bring the truck into the garage, I push it in with my Jeep, and I start trying to diagnose it, trying to get it to start. And when I turn the key on, every light you could ever think of turns on. So it's a lot of work ahead of me. And all of this is in the previous videos. If you want to check out the longer version of this story, you can kind of see the videos of me fixing it and everything. They're on the channel. I find out that all the electrical wiring for the starter system and the battery and everything was replaced by like stereo wiring. Really strange stuff. And the wire to the starter had an inline fuse, which should not be there. That fuse was blown, which is why the starter wouldn't turn over. It would just click when I try to start it. I replaced that wire with like a correct actual battery terminal, and the truck started right up. But as much as I wanted the engine to be a perfectly beautiful running engine, and maybe the past owner just didn't know what they're doing, the thing was toasted, absolutely ruined. It made terrible noises, it was clanking, it wouldn't stay running. And it was blowing blue smoke out of there. So at that moment, I knew that I needed to get a new engine. So the engine was $3,500, and I actually went and got one from a salvage truck, had 20,000 miles on it. And I was able to swap that engine into this truck and take the supercharger from the old engine and put it on the new one, so I could keep that supercharger and have an engine with only 20,000 miles. First, I'll say I don't have the mechanical aptitude to take that old engine apart, which is why I replaced it in the first place. And secondly, I think it was a smart idea. When I took the old engine out, I noticed a ton of oil on top of the valves. or what I thought was oil. The engine was completely full with oil, almost over full, and it was completely clear. What I determined the failure of the engine to be was actually pretty strange, and it's completely due to just negligence of the past owner. So this truck had a whole bunch of things wrong with it when I was tearing into it, and one of those was that every time I'd pump the brake pedal, brake fluid would disappear, and it would, I don't know where it went. It was just disappearing. It wasn't dropping on the ground. And I came to find out that the master cylinder for the brakes had a seal on the back that went bad. And all that brake fluid was going into the brake booster. Now these trucks have a brake booster that is vacuum powered, right? And that vacuum comes from the engine. That engine basically has a small line that connects to the brake booster and is sucking on that brake booster the whole time. When I took that master cylinder out to swap it and put a new master cylinder in, the brake booster was filled to the top with brake fluid. So my idea of what happened to that old engine was brake fluid leaked out of the master cylinder, went into the brake booster, got sucked up by the vacuum line into the engine for probably a while, the way that they treated this truck. Engine's now running on gasoline and it's getting lubricated by brake fluid. That's why I had so much oil in the engine to begin with, and it was perfectly clear. What does brake fluid do inside of an engine? Well, it's not good, right? Brake fluid destroys rubber seals, and I think that's exactly what happened. It destroyed the bearings, the valve seals, and pretty much just toasted that engine. So we got that all fixed, all figured out, and new engine's in, new engine's healthy, happy. When I put the new supercharger on it, I needed to get the engine tuned. Turns out the last owner never tuned for the supercharger in the first place either. So that's not good either. It was making boost and it had no tune and probably ran like shit. So we got it tuned. That was about $1,200 for the tune and dyno, $3,500 for the engine, and the $11,000 for the truck. And those are the big stuff, right? But now I have a running truck and it's good to go. What else do we need? Well, the answer is a whole lot of stuff. So I'm going to try to go through like the majority of the things that I remember paying for on this truck, but I'm going to miss a whole bunch of stuff. That's why the spreadsheet I'm going to try to put in on this video somehow and show you how much I actually spent. All right, under the hood, there's your pretty Magnuson supercharger. I'm really happy I didn't have to pay for that and the last guy did. So when we put the new engine in, I went ahead and put new belts on, new spark plugs. I had to get a new battery with this CBI tray. This is like an RV battery. It's absolutely huge. These cables are from Toyota Cables. They replace all of your starter cables, and it's a pretty good kit. Obviously, like I said before, we did the new master cylinder, and I installed a catch can. That is not California legal. I'm going to have to take that off eventually. And while I was in there with the old engine out, we got the flywheel resurfaced and put a new clutch in there. Obviously, all of the fluids on this truck have been changed out. When I had that engine out, I did a new rack and pinion. It's really easy to change out while you're in there, and the old one was absolutely destroyed from the 37s. The 35s have been a lot better. In the front, I did a cab mount chop to fit these 35s. These 35s I bought with the wheels. Built these rock sliders, just the same as the front bumper that I built. The paint all had to get waxed. That really didn't cost anything. Rear bumper I built myself. It's just like a few $100s in steel for each of these. Oh, a big thing I forgot to mention. I had huge fuel tank issues and I had to get a new sending unit. It was a big disaster with the tank was like suctioning up. So it wasn't only the fuel tank pump, it was also the evap canister that I had to replace. So that was a few $100 for each of those. This rear driver's side, I had to replace the wheel bearing. That is a terrible job. I highly recommend just paying somebody to do that. All of the ABS sensors were destroyed, so I had to get all new ABS sensors. I don't even know how that's possible, but you know, people will find a way to destroy things. Shut that off. For the interior, I took all the carpets out, the seats out, pressure washed everything, and was able to get some new floor mats. I put these Classio seat covers on. They're really nice. I got the heated element inside of them. I had to get a new shift boot and shift knob because there's cigarette burns on the old one. The steering wheel had a bite taken out of it, so I put this cover on it. Looks really nice now. So how much did I spend on this truck to get it where it is today? Well, I can't put in the price of labor, and yeah, it's a lot of my time gone, but I did enjoy it. We're at about $25,000 to get it where it is today. And for me, I think that's still a pretty damn good deal for what it is, and I'm really happy with that. The time that I spent with my friends in the garage, drinking beer, talking shit, wrenching on trucks, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I'm really happy that I got to meet so many awesome people through YouTube and do this. And yeah. So what does the future hold? I don't really know at this point. I'm not sure what the best move for this channel is. I really love four-wheeling and I love wrenching on stuff, so that's gonna keep happening. But do I keep the Tacoma? Do I try to find another project? Do I try to build the Tacoma to be bigger? I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I already have a built Jeep Cherokee. Why would I build this thing? Doesn't really make much sense. Do I just go and do something else crazy? I don't know. I'd really like to hear from you guys, and I want to know if you think $25,000 is a good price for this truck. Regardless, I appreciate the view, and thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one, and be good to each other.